Hi there. With the launch of Divi 3.0, I thought it would be fun to build dividude.com using the visual editor. So let's get started. So in this video, we're just going to go ahead and build the first page, and then in additional videos, we'll go ahead and customize it and build additional pages and things of that nature. We don't want to make this first video too long. So first thing we're going to do is I want to change the color picker palette because I know I'm going to use some custom colors, so I want to go ahead and make sure I have those inputted. So we're going to go over to the theme options, and then I know I'm never going to use this purple. So I already have some the hex values of the colors that I need. So we're going to go ahead and change this purple to a brown that I'll be using. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on it and then just change this hex value here. Now on my website, I'm going to have my own green, so I'm going to click on this green because I won't need it, and we're going to replace that with my green. So we're going to go ahead and again add the hex value, and we're going to do the same thing with that orange because again I have my own color orange that I'll be using. So we're going to go ahead and change that, and then hit enter, and then we'll come up here and we're going to save these changes. Now, as far as what the rest of this is, we'll change the rest of this in another video because we're not going to do the header or anything else. All we're going to do is build the page using a blank template. Okay, so let's get started. So let's go ahead and add a new page. We're just going to call this home page. So we'll call it home. We're going to use the Divi builder. So let's come over here, and since I'm not going to be adding menus or anything, so we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to build it just using a blank page, and then as we add the other elements, the header and the footer and that information, we'll go ahead and change that back to default template. But for now, let's just leave it blank. So we're going to go use the visual editor. And this is what the visual editor looks like using a blank page. So as you can see up here, there's already a section installed, and then this blue is section and this green is your row. So when you hover over it, it says add new row. So let's go ahead and add a new row, and let's do a row. Let's say we're going to use the 1/3 by 2/3. So that looks good. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you'll see the row comes up and there's these pluses here for the different modules, and this is the third side. Now on the third side, I'm going to use an image. So what's nice here is I can just start typing an image, and voila, the image pops up. So let's go ahead now, let's add our image. So we're going to come up here, we're going to upload that just like you would have done in previous Divi versions if you've used them. I'm going to do this caricature, so we're going to go ahead and upload that. We're going to go ahead and rename it. So let's just call this Divi Dude Caricature, and we're going to go ahead now and upload it. Perfect. And then we'll just do Divi Dude There we go. We're not going to open it in a lightbox. We're not going to link it to a URL. So we're going to take off animation. For now, we'll just leave all this the same. Let's go to design. So all of this looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and save the changes. So now we'll come over here to this module, and we're going to go ahead and add our text. Now we could scroll up and down looking for what we want, but again, we can also just start typing in text. And now everything that has a TE shows up, so counters and counter here and testimonial. You saw text down there, but the more you type, it'll come up. So here we're going to leave our text color dark. We're going to leave the text orientation to the left. And since I've already typed everything up, we're going to go ahead and cut and paste it because you probably don't want to watch me type. So here, this is going to be my header. So we're going to go ahead and change that here to H1. I'm going to go ahead and center that. That looks pretty good. Leave all that the way it is. So we're going to come over to design. My header size looks pretty good. I think all that looks pretty good. Header text color. Remember we went earlier and we changed these colors in the color palette. So I'm going to use my green. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I think that all looks pretty good. That all looks pretty good. So we're going to leave this as it is. No border. For now, we're not going to have any custom padding or margins or anything like that. So I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and choose that. Now I can see that there's some issues here. So I got these spaces in the paragraph. So instead of, it used to be we'd have to go back into our module settings and make those changes. Now we can do our edits from here. So I can remove the paragraph by clicking on here and deleting. As you can see, it made those. You know what? I left off a sentence. So I can come in here and I can type in and make my edits here. So that's all pretty simple. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So that's looking pretty good. A couple of things. I do want to actually add a link. So right here, I do want that to be linked. So I can do that by clicking on link here and then typing in my URL. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So we'll type in the URL. As you can see, it's now been linked. And the other thing I want to do, I want to make my background orange. So let's go up here to the section. So you saw I hit the section, I hit that gear icon. Select color. Again, I've already put my custom orange in here. Now, in another video, I'm actually going to make this a gradient. But for now, we're just going to use this as a solid orange. I don't want to make this video too long. So that's looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Alright, so now let's add another section. So we're going to mouse up here. That's the green's for row, the blue's for section. So let's add a new section. I'm just going to do a regular section. I'm going to add a new row. I'm going to again make it a text because I'm just going to make this a headline. In this case, I'm going to make the text color light. I'm going to make the text orientation center. We're going to do a headline, a header, excuse me, that's H1. So now we're going to just cut and paste the text in here. And again, I might want to add, this is headline, and that way I have it so when I'm in the Divi builder I can see what this information is. So we're going to go ahead and change that, but you'll notice you don't see it here. I mean, you can see the box, but you don't see any copy. The reason is I did white and I did a white background. Well, I don't want a white background, so let's come here, let's select the background, and let's choose that green. So now you can see the Divi pops up. You know what I don't like? I don't like this big gap here. So let's see if we can close out that gap. So let's click on here and look at that. Let's get rid of some of that padding there. And let's get rid of some of that padding there. Okay, all that's looking pretty good, but still not exactly what I want. So let's come up here and let's see what are the settings here. So let's change that to 0. Okay, that's looking better, but it's still not quite what I want. So let's come here and change the top row, and let's make it a negative number, and let's try 25 pixels. And that's almost right. That's almost right. So we did the negative, so it moved it up, but it went, you may not be able to tell in the video, but it's slightly too high. So I have a feeling if we take it down to 24, we'll be perfect. That looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and keep that there. All right, the Divi headline, I think that looks a little too high. So let's see if we can move that down. So we can either go into here, and that's into the text module, and under design, we could come here and, let's say, in padding, let's say add a 25, and that would do it. Now let's see if we can do it in the visual editor. So if we move our mouse, and this is going to be kind of tricky, but if we move our mouse right there, as you can see, you see that little highlight above. Now we can literally just move it down and we can kind of eyeball it until we get what we like. And I think that right about there, that looks pretty good. So we're going to go with that. So now let's add another row. Let's add some blurbs. So again, we're going to type in blurb. There we go. And I'm going to actually create 3 blurbs, but instead of creating the 3 right now, I'm going to create 1 to recustomize everything. I can just change the text. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and use an icon. And this one's called Divi Things I Didn't Know. So let's see if we can find a question mark. There we go. We'll use that one. Icon color. I don't want to use the default. I think I'm going to use white. Circle icon. All this is fine. Let's not animate it. Paragraph. So I'm going to go ahead and just add the text here. So what I want to do, let's go down here so we can actually see the changes. What I want to do is I want to justify this text. I think that'll look pretty good. So we're going to justify the text and then make sure that the headline here is, the text orientation here is centered, and that will do the headline. So that all looks pretty good, except for we can't read the text, so let's make it white. So let's go over here to design. And let's change, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. That looks pretty good. I want to make this that orange color. I'm liking that. One thing is, it's kind of, the headline here is kind of, I think, pretty tight on the copy there. So we're going to actually change the header line height. That looks pretty good there. We can keep all this. I'm going to add a background color. Remember that brown we added? That's going to be my background color. And now we want to use a border. I'm going to keep it solid. But come up here, the border color, we're going to make, I think, black. That looks pretty good. And let's add some padding. So I believe if we go, say, 15 pixels on top and 15 pixels on bottom, and then 25 pixels on right and 25 pixels on left, I think that all looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and see, we're going to come into the visual editor now. You see I have an extra paragraph, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and save this. Again, I'm going to copy it. So copy it once, and then come here, see this arrow? We move the arrow until we see this little box here, this little horizontal gray box here, and that's where we're going to copy it. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to move it, look for that little space, and we're going to drop it. Voila, now we've got 3. Now all I have to do is I can just here and just go ahead and type in. Now here I'm cutting and pasting, but if I wanted to type, again, I could just type. I could make any changes. If I wanted to change this word, I could do it like that. So using the visual editor, it's really nice. So let's go ahead now and finish this off. Okay, so now I've changed all the type in my blurbs. Now as you can see, we've got 3 question marks, and I do want to change that. So I'm going to come back in here to the gear icon and come back down here where my icons are, and this is just the fact, so a check mark will probably be good there. So we'll do that. And stuff I use, so we'll come back, and I believe there's a target. There we go. We're going to use the target symbol. So there we go. That looks pretty good. So later on, I'm actually going to customize these blurbs. So when I do that, I'll do another video. So, but for now, for today's purpose, we're just going to leave it looking like this. So now if we come down to the purple here, click on that, expands the settings, we can save. And here I'm still in a draft, so I can just save the draft. You see, you get the check mark and all that. So that tells me it's saved, and then I can close that back up. So that's looking pretty good. So let's add a contact form. So again, we're going to add a new section. We're going to make it a regular section, a new row, and now we're going to start typing in contact. That comes up, and all I need is a name, email, message. That's perfect. So we're going to display CAPTCHA yes. I'll enter in my email. We're going to do the title. The title is what's going to show up above the contact, so we're going to go ahead and add a title. Message pattern is when you get the email, it's how it looks to you. So usually what I do on message pattern is you put the 2% and then the name of the field. Whoops. So that's the name field. Then I add a paragraph, and then we do 2% email paragraph, and then usually I add another paragraph, and then 2% message, and then I add a paragraph just in case. I don't want to enable that success message. So you type in a little message right here, success message, and that all looks pretty good. And again, I'm going to actually customize this in another video, so we're going to make it look really nice. But for now, we're just going to leave it default, with the exception of there it is right here. As you can see, as I'm doing it, it shows up. I keep forgetting to scroll down. So we're gonna actually add a border, and then we'll just choose. It's probably a little dark. We'll just choose a border like that, solid. There we go. So that all looks pretty good. So far, I think this is looking pretty good. So we've added 3 sections now. Let's close that gap a little bit there. See how I can just do that. If I think it's a little high, I can just take my mouse over here, and you see that blue shading. That's your padding, so you can just kind of eyeball it there, and I can move my row up there. So yeah, I think that's all looking pretty good. Okay, that probably is, looking at this now, I think it's a little high, so move that down a little bit. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So let's add one last quick row. So we're going to add a new section. Regular text. And I'm just going to, let's go down here. Let's go ahead and hit check. So you can see the text is right there. I've got the text field. So instead of entering it into the module box there, I'm just going to type it in right here. So if I wanted to, I could just start typing like this, but you don't want to watch me type, so I've just gone ahead and done that. Cut and paste a little disclaimer there. Let's go ahead and close my padding a little bit. There you go. I think that looks pretty good. So let's click on this. We're going to go ahead and publish it. So let's exit the Visual Builder. And there we go. That's what the page is going to look like. I think that looks pretty good. So on subsequent videos, we're going to add a footer. We're going to add the header. We're going to customize these blurbs. We're going to add gradients. We're going to add additional pages. But for this first one, I just want to do a quick overview on what I kind of liked about this, and to show you how simple it is to put together a page. All right, thank you. If you like the videos, please subscribe to my page. So again, thank you everyone.